You're still not out here. What did you see from Preston, and I guess how do you kind of ramp him up to get ready just in case?
Well, we've kind of talked through this all year, the injuries, and we've kind of been excessively bit this year, and that's part of it, right? So it's, Tanner's kind of in a day-to-day world, and it was great getting Preston in early games to make sure he had opportunities to do the things. Obviously, we're going to value that last drive that he had versus Central Florida. That played into what he was able to do this last quarter against Cincinnati this week, and so we got confidence in Preston, and he's done a good job, and so seeing him operate within the entirety of the offense has been fun, and I know he'll be ready if called upon.
What was some of your takeaways as far as what he did well, what you maybe want to clean up a little bit, this week?
Well, he was super competitive. I thought he had pretty good poise in the pocket. He was tough running the ball. I think situational awareness just comes with playing in the game more than anything. I think the experience factors, kind of stuff that I desire for him, but he can't really get without playing, he took care of the ball. That's the number one thing. If he gets called into that situation again, he's got to take care of the ball for us, and he's got to make sure that our guys, he gets the ball to our playmakers in space and let those guys have an opportunity to do that. So do a great job of distribution when he's called upon to run. Obviously, he's got a unique skill there, and then so just being smart when he does that, and making sure that we gain the yards we need to, and keep him in, healthy also. So
does maybe some of his work with the number 2 receivers in that group, does that change how you use different players that maybe, you notice that he has a better connection with, say a Moochie or a Teddy or anything like that, or do you just kind of...
Yeah, not really. Coach Likens has done a really good job rotating our guys, and you see Carter Campbell and Bo Barker showing up, but they really have, if you go back to our fall camp tape, you know what I mean? Those guys have been kind of steadily rolling in with the 2s the entire time, but that's also, to your point, puts in Moochie with that group and then the other group, so he's had experience with kind of all of our guys. Even Rasheed's probably the one guy that maybe hasn't gotten as many reps with him, but those guys have got to get. Rasheed's been very professional. He's done a great job being out here and leading our guys, and again, just continuing to show up day after day. I know he's beat up, like we all are, and so just watching him come out and do that again is good for Preston.
Obviously, Tanner, we saw that he has a lot of speed too when he's able to run, but the design run game seems a little bit more designed for Preston. I guess what does Preston do from a mobility, from a design run standpoint that allows you guys to do that?
Well, honestly, we took all the QB carries that we carried into this previous game were designed for Tanner, right? And then we just got to a situation where Preston used him, and he is a little bit more, different build, I think, than Tanner is to a degree. Both of them are really, I think Tanner's sneaky athletic, and everyone, Preston is kind of that guy that moves around a little bit. I don't know that it'll change our game plan much. I think that we know that we can utilize that skill set based on what he can and can't do, but it's I don't know that it'll change our approach. I think that we feel good about him operating our offense the way that we call it.
Are some of the design runs for Tanner, have they been off the table lately because he's been banged up even before the Cincinnati game, or is it just...
Not really. I think we probably carried more against Cincinnati than we have this entire year, and I think that some of that was probably brought to light by his productivity versus Navy and some of those. And honestly, it's kind of a week-to-week game plan, and the opportunities that they present you when you play man-to-man teams like Cincinnati was, then they'll run defenders out of there, and so we felt like we had some opportunity to run the quarterback more versus them. Tulsa does some man, some not. So we'll always have some quarterback run game like we do every week, and just see if the opportunity presents itself to call it.
Is there then emphasis, obviously, if Tanner can't go, Preston starts, of getting Kevin ramped up because he could be a snap away from...
Sure, and you saw that today. Kevin was, and that's good, and Kevin's come miles from where he was when he first got to camp. Thank God we were doing our split practices, and he was just banking all those reps then, and Kevin's very professional. He's very mature. He's a guy that was state championship quarterback, at a place that hadn't won a bunch of state championships, and so he comes out here with the same demeanor every day, and it was good to watch him get out there, and he's got a skill set. Certainly, I think he knows the offense fairly well. I think he would operate probably on a more limited offense if he were called into duty. But he knows what it is that we're doing, and so certainly there's an urgency anytime that you are uncertain about what that top quarterback's going to look like.
Obviously, there was a ramp up with Camar, just a couple carries here and there. That last week was the first extended action. It felt like he kind of got in a flow pretty quickly. Do you think that was kind of a necessity to maybe kind of get him in a flow early, to really kind of showcase that speed a little bit more?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that our plan all along's been to get bring him along. Just the state in which we got him he was just so far from being able to operate in a college football game at a regular load, so I think we've slowly built him in, slowly gotten him some more opportunities. The injuries have kind of pushed him, accelerated that learning curve a little bit and gotten him into it. I think any time that you can get guys tackled early in a game, that helps them all, right? I mean, that you get that first tackle shaken off. Even Preston was like, "Hey, let me get tackled, and then I'll feel better," So that's kind of a football adage. Some guys just like to get hit so they can go. No, then they're all right. It's like they can lock in and play.
What do you see from Tulsa on film?
Really good on defense. Kind of, I think they got the number one pass defense in the country or something. I think that they're older, they're experienced. They got a bunch of seniors running around down there. They're big and long. I think that they've always done a good job recruiting guys that fit their system. So it's maybe they wouldn't show up in some other places, but boy, they really do a good job there. And they fly around, and they hit you hard, and they're going to be a great challenge for us. So.
No, Gillespie's gone, but does it still kind of look like the defense they've run in the past a little bit?
Yeah, and I would say that, honestly, I think they're probably more advanced in that defense, even more than probably TCU was, which you can expect 8 years into that defense compared to, 8 months into that defense. So you see more out of that defense than I think TCU presented, and they're good. They're confident in it. I think that they got older guys that can work through the defense itself, so they call more and they expect more out of the guys, and they put them in different situations than they did. So they're sneaky good.
What did you see differently out of your guys' red zone offense overall, and then also third down offense overall, just in the last game? Kind of the good and the bad, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we were much improved in the red zone. Was really excited about that. I thought we were awful on third down. Now we got ourselves in some situations. We're over 5 on 3rd and 11 plus, which your early down contributes to your third down stuff sometimes too. So we've got to do a better job of getting them, in position, but we also got to do a better job on early downs, making sure that we're in manageable downs on third down. So I don't know that our plan was off. We just got kind of caught in a situation where we weren't in striking distance enough to be able to get it. But our red zone, I thought we've put a lot of emphasis in that the last few weeks here. I think that's paid off in the past couple games. So we're continuing to see improvement in that, and whoever our quarterback ends up being going into this weekend, we got to make sure that they can execute all that as well.
Rasheed had more drops than normal. Do you guys put a lot of stock in that, or maybe just a little bit of pain, a little bit just maybe off for one half?
Yeah, Rasheed's a professional. He really is, and so it's not anybody's harder on him than him. So we don't have to go back and point him out to him. He knows that, and you know what? Testament to Rasheed. He came into us Sunday. He said, he was a little bit limited in practice last week. He said, "Coach, I can't be limited." He said, "I don't play as good when I don't practice as good." So that's a testament to him. You know what I mean? Realizing that he needs to be out here and engaged and focused and leading our guys. And that's a big message. I mean, I thought, Coach Lashley, I think, mentioned it. That's maybe the best Tuesday practice we've had all season. And part of that's just him coming out here, being professional, operating, ready to go. You know what I mean? Everybody sees him, and they kind of mimic how he works. So I trust that we ain't going to quit throwing it to him for sure. So.
How fun is it, obviously, for them to contribute this year, guys like to see a Preston Stone to RJ Maryland touchdown pass, to see Camar running, to see those young guys contributing now and knowing that that's also building. How fun is that as an OC?
I don't, now that you bring it up, it seems real fun. Yeah, I hadn't spent much time thinking about it. I've been worried about Tulsa, but it's that was coachy, wasn't it? I'm sorry, but it was. But I really hadn't thought about it. But no, you make a good point. It's exciting to see young guys in there and see them develop. And there's an expectation for some of those guys. RJ's played a bunch of games now. You know what I mean? That he's not so freshman-y anymore. He's got to be more like I would expect a sophomore to play. And and some of those young guys that have been and. Those guys are first year in the program. We're getting to game 6, 7 here, and there's the expectation for their mistakes, or lack thereof has got to be elevated. But I think there's some bright spots, and we got to do a great job recruiting and supplementing that once we get to the end of the season. But obviously, we got Tulsa on the mind.